Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Marco Ponsetti, and I welcome you to this TMS seminar, which is part of the COVID-19 special issue of the TMS, for which I am the guest editor. In the last two events, we talked about medical issues with Dr. Andrea Palladino for the data analysis side, and with Dr. Nicola Petrosillo from the Spallanzani Institute for the clinical aspects. And this time we shift gears and talk about another important related issue, which is the economic part of the question. And I will now give the virtual floor to Pier Giorgio, who will introduce our very special guest for today. Thank you.
Okay, Marco, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here. It is my pleasure to present you Dr. Francesco Spanedda, Chief Brand Officer of Thun SPA, which is probably the most famous brand in ceramics. So you know Dr. Spanedda is doing a great job there. Let me take this opportunity to thank him for being here with us in today's TMS seminar. Dr. Spanedda graduated in economics and obtained the Utenti Pubblicità Associati Master in Business Communication at the Ca' Foscari University in Venice. Then he began his career in the world of consumer goods consultancy and gained his professional experience in luxury and fashion multinationals. He currently holds the role of CBO at Thun SPA, the international market leader in ceramic products and gift, where he manages the area of product development, brand marketing, and licensing. We did not choose Thun at random. Through Dr. Francesco Pandolfi, which we thank immensely for his help in organizing this webinar, we knew that Thun was running now studies to understand what will happen after COVID-19 on an economic standpoint. Furthermore, Thun is an Italian company that is also involved in charity work through the Lane Thun Foundation, the first Odus in Italy that offers a free recreational therapy service through clay modeling. This service is offered to kids of 21 hospitals with the help of more than 1,500 volunteers. So we really don't mind having a company that also cares about charity work and not only money. About today's talk, thanks to the study conducted in-house and to publicly available database, Dr. Spanedda will tell us about world economy in the wake of COVID-19, global consequence, and example of Thun, reshaping the present for a new future, so that we can better understand the socioeconomic impact of COVID-19 on a national and worldwide scale. Okay, Dr. Spanedda, thanks again, and you can start with your presentation.
Many thanks. So I would like to share my screen and say hello, everybody, first of all, and thank you for being here. Just a moment, please. Here it is. Right, my camera is turned off now, and please confirm me that you can see my presentation. Can you see it?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
So I will start with this tough, I have to say, tough COVID-19. Okay, when we think about the COVID-19, we need to understand what is the economic impacts on and debt connections, the debt and social distancing interaction, and the business impact, of course, of the COVID. Just to give you an idea, there is a sort of circle, negative circle, with a strong impact on the supply. So the supply chain, which is the chain that allow all of the companies to sell the products. The demand, because of course we'll see later on different charts what is the impact according to the different market segments, and for sure. There are some segments negatively affected by the COVID, as well as someone that, they are gaining power on the market. And then we need to speak about the financial market shock, which is another big deal. But the main word is shock, because we're not speaking about, a simple, very reasonable economic and also we cannot foresee what is the actual impact. We're just trying to understand more or less what will be the final result of the COVID-19, according also to the fact that we are speaking about the first part of the virus, and we're just speaking about a potential, hopefully not, but I'm not sure about that, new strengthening of the virus on September. So we will be not sure about the situation, but just to give you an example, we're just saying that if the COVID will come back to Italy on September, we will probably foresee a decrease of the GDP, what we call in Italy PIL, which is an index of productivity of the entire country, that will go down compared to the last year of the 14%, which is a huge tragedy economic-wise. From this circle, you can understand that starting from the financial market to the growth decline, so all the growth that is considered as part of the development of the economy, all the investments will fail and will fall for sure. The jobs will decline. We will not have enough money to pay, to respect the contract, and so on. So there is a negative circle, what we call vicious circle, and financial crisis that will affect the entire market, not only the Italian one, but I'm speaking about the entire world market. Just to give you an idea about the single market segment, we've noticed that on travel and transportation industry, the decline was a reflection of the isolation of people, but it's just a decline, it's a drop, it's not properly a shutdown, as we have experienced it on leisure and hospitality and on manufacturing. And but there is also a good segment, the food, grocery, household and living products, where Tune is competing at the moment, and the home entertainment, where there is a strong growth. When we speak about grocery, we are speaking about supermarkets, just to give you an example. The COVID-19 impacted for sure on the consumer confidence. There is a strong and higher uncertainty about the future. This will affect the consumption, but for sure there is a strong change on the behavior of the consumer. For example, we've noticed all the growth on the online segments, and the government efforts are focused on the mitigation of the risk of the COVID, just putting some money in the market and try to understand how to manage and in a certain way sustain the industry on a short-term period. This is the typical curve of a recession that we all know. There is an L shape of the curve, and what we need to do now as a government is just to reduce this L according to the possibility to sustain the industry. At the moment, it's mandatory for the European market, for example, but also for the American one and the Chinese one, to put money, fresh money, on the market. So the financial and the monetary part of the strategy is the most important one, as well as we need to consider also the timing where government will make the intervention effective on the market. For example, in Europe, Germany has been one of the first markets to start a monetary policy to sustain the industry. Just think about Lufthansa financial sustain from the German government. In Italy, we have a different situation because at the moment, as you can read and know, there is a certain delay, and this delay can kill a lot of industries. But if I take a step back and I consider, for example, the past, I've heard an interesting interview this morning on Radio 24, which is the radio of Il Sole 24 Ore, the most relevant financial newspaper in Italy. There was a sort of parallel between the actual situation and the very popular sentence from Mario Draghi, which was "whatever it takes." This is the same moment, and "whatever it takes" is the same sentence said by the European responsible for a financial policy, which comes from Germany, So very strange to hear at the moment, which is more or less the same as Mario Draghi did in the past, where there was the big crisis, the big financial crisis after the strong attack to the economy due to the the expansion of the subprime effect in the U.S. market. The GDP is very complicated to foresee at the moment. The scenario says that actually we are between on the Europe, it's actually between the 8 and the 12% drop compared to the last year, as well as in Italy we will probably drop down from 9 to 11, and the expected growth for the 2021 will be around 5 to 7%, 6-7%. This growth, I have to remember to all of you, will not compensate the loss of 2020. So it's something like going back to 2019 or less, and we're just missing 2 years. At the end of the day, I think that 2 years is the minimum drop that we need to expect from this virus. Just to give you another example, the Chinese government declared something like the 1.8 plus 1.8% compared to the 2019, which is a mess for them. I have to say that the GDP growth for a Chinese market normally is around +6, +7%. So for them, it's a big drop, as well as they consider it at the moment as the natural consequence of a crisis. But for sure, there is an interesting aspect according to the behavior of the Chinese consumer, which is the shopping revenge. They can have a sort of the revenge shopping is the typical reaction to the COVID. It was the same when they have experienced the SARS, the first SARS virus. After the lockdown, the Chinese people started to buy a lot. It was the same in the US after a certain period when there was the 2000 problem related to the Twin Towers. So there is an effect, a positive effect on consumption to consider, which actually is not so clear in Europe. I don't feel at the moment, and I don't foresee any kind of revenge shopping activity from the European consumers. They are more, I have to say, careful about the future. They're very worried at the moment, so we don't expect in Europe the same positive effect on consumption that you're actually experiencing in China. Let's focus now on the global chain disruption. This affected more or less all the industries. The production has been cut at the moment, and even if we have restarted to produce, there is a lack of raw materials to consider. And the key point and a strength point, the strength of many companies is represented by flexibility and diversification on the supply chain. This is the only way how to proceed if we want to overtake this particular moment. Flexibility means more or less have more partners, make, for example, a sort of what we call insourcing. So in the past, we've been all affected by the trend on the externalization of the production out of Europe. At the moment, the production in Europe is becoming more and more important because of this crisis. Because from a supply chain point of view, it's easier to produce in Europe and reduce the lead time of production in order to maintain promises to the customers, instead of waiting, for example, from 40 to 60 days for the transportation of the product from the production in Asia to Europe. The second issue is the cash flow. We need more money on the economy. We need money to maintain and sustain our weaker companies, and also to sustain the impact in terms of occupation of people. And from that point of view, at the moment, we are experiencing a sort of credit crunch on from the Italian bank side. The last point is the acceleration of the digitalization. Business need to be agile for sure. We need digital infrastructures, and the companies are, at the moment experiencing the importance of for example, the smart working as an important and positive impact on the business. So digital transformation as well as omni-channel transformation is becoming more and more important. Let's have a look now on the reaction on Thun. First of all, health and safety. From that point of view, I have to say that COVID only affected 2 people in Thun officially, already analyzed and certified. One of them is unfortunately because I've been affected by the virus, but our main target was to keep our people healthy and safe. That's why we decided, for example, to close our retail stores. As you know, we have a strong retail chain. A few days before the official, government law about the closing of the shutdown and the lockdown of the entire retail network. From what we call people and welfare, we have to say that we have tried as much as we could to maintain the same level of people inside the company, according to a very strong welfare policy. Third, we needed to guarantee the business continuity and to invent a different way to, from one side, keep safe the financial structure of the company, and on the other hand, trying to transform what is actually a big problem into a big opportunity. As I said, we have just been closed for 2.5 months, which means around 70 million euro of missing cashing, a huge cash impact, as I told you. We have tried to find different measures to mitigate the financial stress, cutting costs, salary plans for people, payment schedule reshape, tax and banks obligation postponement. This is, the what we call ABC in terms of financial intervention. Then the continuous reforecasting of the scenarios has helped us to, try to get ready for the restart of the business. This was very important for all of us. A big opportunity, I said before, because first of all, the market has changed. It's changed a lot in terms of e-commerce, for example. Before the COVID, the 8% of family used to buy products on e-commerce. After the COVID, there are in only 2 months, we recovered 2 points. We are at more than 10%. And I have to say that in Thun, we are now around 10, 15, and 20% according to different months. We foresee a 10% at the end of the year. And there are some categories like food, grocery, that are growing a lot in the market. The food, was around plus 20, but I have to say honestly that on the first month it was plus 30. We all experienced the difficulty on finding good slots to order online our standard shopping for groceries. 2 million of new consumers in Italy. Sorry for this article. It's from Criteo.netcom. This is an important source. And honestly, it was interesting also to have a look on the Italian impact of the COVID. This is very good. It's a very good news, because many people that never buy before on the web, have decided, according to this era, to start to consume online, which means that we have a new opportunity for all of them, and we are opening a new market, honestly. Pet care, fresh food, and house care, and personal care products are all on a triple-digit growth. Lockdown for our stores mean something like 0 sales, but for the e-commerce point of view, the meaning was slightly different. I have to say triple-digit growth, plus 34 of new digital consumer on our site. And we foresee, as I told you before, a 10% of total weight of e-commerce versus 2020 forecast. The multi-channel against the omni-channel. Toon is an omni-channel company. The difference between a multi-channel company and an omni-channel company is the fact that both companies can manage different stores, physical, web, social media, and mobile. But all these different platforms are completely separated on the multi-channel approach, where on the omni-channel approach, we try to connect the consumer experience in the center of this loop in order to offer to him what we call a seamless experience. So we are just working to give the same experience on the physical and digital touch point for the consumer. For us, the road to omnichannel is very important. With 2020 COVID, we have decided to accelerate this process. The click and collect is a typical service of the omnichannel channel or omnichannel channel touch point. Then we have organized a sort of pre-booking visit in store. So we have decided to create with an app a sort of relationship one-to-one with our stores in order to have a safe experience inside the store. Then we are just going to launch some product subscriptions, so our consumer can have the opportunity to buy the product before the official launch by paying a certain subscription offer. And then we have also empowered our Toon Lovers program, which is what we call a fidelity program. We have 1.3 million lovers on our program with 150K top members that normally pay to be part of a special segment of our fidelity program. But we've also worked on the product-wise, launching some new ideas. First of all, Toon is very recognizable from the decorative products. We have decided to invest a lot on functional products and on new functional products according to the trend of the kitchenware, which is a very important trend, considering that many people have decided to, for example, work on recipes and create something like master chef plates, dishes for the families. This has been a very important trend that we need to exploit according to new functional products. Then we have decided to work on the value of the product, which means that moving from decorative to functional, we give a reason why, which is very concrete, very rational to the customer. But then we've decided also to implement a new range of products able to be more achievable from the customers. New product ideas, new product meanings already launched by Reshape in terms of storytelling. And then we have created some personal care products. Just to give you an example, from the functional product we've worked on, for example, pizza cutter, but this is just a simple example. Or for the price for value, we have worked on a new collection, Daisy Bloom, collection that we have decided to launch on March, and it will be on the point of sales on July. So after 4 months. we normally take not less than 8 months to launch a product. We have dramatically reduced the time in order to get ready for those new needs, those new consumers, and give them a new product able to satisfy their needs. Then there is a very singular ideas about the shopper with the silver fiber. As you know, the silver fiber is recognized on the market for the power, I have to say, to give to the consumer a safety feeling in terms of sanification. This is the reason why we decided to put the fiber, the silver fiber, on our shopping bags. Then there was an angel. Angel is one of our best icon. Is the most iconic product of Thun since the very first beginning in 1950. And we have renamed and created a particular storytelling for our angel, calling him the angel of Renaissance, of the rebirth. And last but not least, a new mask that we have launched just 1 week ago, 2 weeks ago, honestly. The mask is not actually on the point of sale, but with a pre-booking activity, we have sold it out more than 20,000 masks. So there are 20,000 people waiting for the mask that they have just already purchased 2 weeks ago, and we're just producing new quantities for the customer. And last but not least, the communication. Ripartiamo, which means restart. It's a gimmick between restart and I love you. It's the way how we have created a sort of new hashtag for Thun, able to give the chance to the consumer to feel the company as a family company. Thun has a concrete and solid, I have to say, experience in terms of family, of feelings, and restart, reinvent, and ripartiamo has been the way how we started our new brand campaign in order to involve our people and make them feeling more close to the brand. This is it, guys. It was just a short sum up. I promise to stay with you for a half an hour, and I hope that you have enjoyed my presentation. Then I stop. Start my camera.
Okay. Thanks again, Dr. Francesco Spanetta, for this excellent overview. And let me take this opportunity to thank also the Managing Director Thun, Dr. Francesco Pandolfi, Sara Bazzanella, PR of Thun, and to Thun as a company for their availability. And thanks very much. And now I will to give the floor to Dr. Ponsetti for the questions. Okay, Marco, can you hear me?
Thank you,
Thanks.
Giorgio. Thanks. And so let's go to the questions section. So we have the first from Michela Ciocca. Is there any company that has had an economic increase due to the virus? You partially covered this, but maybe you want to be more specific.
Think about, for example, Glovo. All the food delivery and the home delivery, completely exploded. I've spoken also yesterday with the country manager of, for example, in a company which is the competitor of McDonald's, and he said to me, according to this crisis, we have experienced an incredible growth due to the e-commerce and the home delivery. Just to give you a stupid idea, there is one restaurant in Milano, one chain restaurant, is very small, comes from Puglia, Il Mannarino. During the lockdown, these restaurants growth about the plus 30% compared to the previous periods. They have transformed their maids into drivers. So you have to restart, to rethink, reshape your business. If you do it, you can find opportunities. And this is how we also manage the e-commerce in Thun. We're growing plus triple digit because of that. It's not only a matter of being available with a platform. You need also to reshape your offer, reshape your services, trying to be flexible and adapt your product offer to the customer.
Yeah, this is a general principle that applies also to biology, to whatever. You have to evolve to survive. This is Darwin. So
yeah, it's Darwin. At the end of the day, it's Darwin. Thanks to Darwin.
Okay, we have a comment from Professor Teti, the chair of the TMS. How do you think reducing taxes will help people spending more and help economy? Is this feasible?
Wow, big question. Honestly, in Italy, we say first we need to pay taxes before to reduce. I'm not sure at the moment. I think that taxes are a problem, and I think also that according to this policy, it seems that the government is reducing the taxes, but don't remember that this month we're gonna pay for the house, and they are suspending taxes until September. But I cannot figure out the reaction of the market after September, where the government will start to, ask again taxes, and they also will cut all the investment in terms of monetary policy to sustain the occupancy. I feel that on September we will have a shutdown of so many small companies, because the government in Italy has been concentrated on a size which is a very small size, 5 million revenues to receive, sustained from the government. You need, as a company, you need to have a full revenue in 2019, which is more or less around 5 million revenues. This is a very small shape, and my worry at the moment is that many companies, that are on a size which is completely different, for example, from 5 to 20, will suffer a lot of this crisis.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we have one more from Silvia Di Virgilio. As you said earlier, in Europe, we haven't seen yet a positive effect on consumption. Why are we more careful compared to non-European people? And how can Italians in particular regain confidence in buying in shops rather than online?
Well, I think it's a matter of culture. China is growing so fast during the last years, and of course they have a crisis, but on the other hand, they will close this year at plus 1.8% of growth of the GDP, which is different from minus 11 or minus 12 of the Italian drop. So there is first a cultural difference between all of them. The Chinese economy is a fast-growing economy. The salary rate is going fast, plus 15, plus 20 per year, where in Europe we are, assuming at least the same level of salary. But I feel that the salary will drop down this year. Then we don't have a growth of the economy, but we will have a drop of the economy. And then we will have another effect, which is linked to the fact that we are older than the Chinese people. And, the average customer, interesting customer, online customer in China is around 18, 25 years old. In Italy, this customer is older. And when you become old, probably you are, I cannot say that your intention to buy is completely different, but for sure you will in a certain way culturally think about the fact that you have experienced so many crises in the past. Think about the 73, 78 for the petrol. Think about 2001 with the Twin Towers tragedy. All those crises have affected the European market more than the Chinese one, which is pretty new to crisis. So the approach in terms of behavior is completely different.
Thank you. One more from Pier Giorgio. In your opinion, which nations will recover in the shortest time, and which ones will have the greater long-term consequences?
Big question. Hard to say. If I think about Europe, for sure Germany is ahead as usual. They're more organized, they're more rational, they're flexible, they have a strong industry, they export more than they import at the moment, and this is very important because they can, continue to grow according to the export market. And honestly, Italy, what they call in the past the PIIGS countries, like Portugal, Spain, Italy, Greek. They have economy which are weaker than Germany or France, and honestly, I feel that the crisis will affect more the former PIIGS countries.
Okay, thank you. One from Professor Salamida. My impression during the lockdown in Lombardy was that only the huge commercial malls that are located out of the city center have lost a lot of customers in favor of e-commerce and small city markets. On the other hand, in the USA, the decline of huge malls began already a few years ago. So COVID is probably only accelerating the same process. What do you think?
Well, I agree to this vision. Honestly, we read in the past about the retail tragedy and also the shutdown of many important shopping malls in the US. The structure of the distribution in Italy is very different, honestly. At the moment, we have a big suffering for the big shopping mall, like, for example, Arese, in close to Milan in Lombardy. 6 million people is the big, I can say, the big potential customer area of Arese, which is the first commercial center in Italy. And they're suffering a lot because in Italy, all our shopping malls are based on the grocery stores, big grocery stores, what we call ipermercati, stores that have a surface which is around plus 2,500 square meters. And even if the grocery market is growing on the medium level. It's not growing on the big surfaces at the moment. But on the other hand, big shopping mall have the power, financial power to survive. I'm scared about the small shopping center in this moment. On the medium range, I think that they can survive because they have a strong relationship with the territory, and they have a sort of good level of compromise between grocery and all the other store services. For example, in some areas, you cannot buy tune except for a shopping mall, a medium shopping mall, because there is not a proper center of a city that can offer a tune product. So I'm worried about the small. For the big one, I think that they can recover probably in 2 years. From the medium, I'm a bit scared at the moment.
Okay, perfect. We have one from Ilaria Di Carlo. Actually, it's a double question, but you answered part of it. So I will just read the part you didn't answer. How much does it cost for a small business to start and go online?
Oh, it costs a good idea. More, to start online, it's not a big. It's, of course, it means that you need to have logistics, but there are some good platforms online. For example, I'm thinking about Shopify, which is a sort of freeware platform. You can build up your internet e-commerce in 1 day with Shopify. They can guarantee to you all the security of the payments and all the rest. You need for sure to pay them commissions, but if you go through Shopify, you need only logistics. And logistics depends on how many countries you want to target as a potential market. It means that you need to consider the weight of your product and the way how to ship the products. As bigger it is, as much you have to pay for logistics, for example. So it depends on the business model at this stage, and also on the way how you want to make e-commerce. You can make e-commerce starting from a production point of view, or starting like a marketplace. So if you go through a marketplace, you don't have to worry about logistics, because you can create a marketplace, for example, giving the responsibility for logistics directly to your partners, and you only need to capture some orders and then ship through your customers. So I don't have an answer for sure, but potentially You need only to invest on sometimes for creativity and sometimes to aggregate some other brands.
Great. We have one from Iona from Manchester. Do you think that you will continue to adopt an omni-channel platform approach post-lockdown? And do you think this will benefit your business?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. The customer demands is linked to the services that you are able to offer. At the moment, ship the product from the point of sale directly to my house, or ship the product directly to the house of my friend because it's a gift, or make the click and collect as a service, or creating new services like the CRM, which means loyalty programs, is the secret of the success of the brand. And if I look at the circular customer journey of each single client, I cannot think about the multi-channel strategy. Omni-channel is the future, is the present and the future.
Great, thank you. So we have one more from Professor Teti. Don't you think that solid economy is based on manufacturing of essential things like cars or part of cars, phones, computer, etc., that you can sell worldwide? How do your products meet this requirement?
The solid economy is linked to Germany at the moment. They produce a lot of cars, more than even if I have to say that the FCA group is at the moment, which is not Italian, honestly, I have to say. I'm not sure it's American or it's it's the Netherlands group. But what I have to say is that the solid product is not the only way to sell the product at the moment, and we have so many examples in the market, like Uber or Amazon. They're not a production wise companies. They are only marketplace. They try to understand what the customer wants and try to find the right service to give to the customer at the right price. So as I said before, a marketplace, a platform can be a good idea as well as selling solid products.
Perfect, thank you. So we have one from Denise Boncioli. How much do you think that policies that take care of family issues, for instance, childcare, during the time of lockdown could help the recovery of economy? Do you have any example in your company?
Wow. Honestly, as I said, I'm worried about the fact that in September in Italy, all will end. And if the government will not continue to sustain families, we will have a drop of the economy, which is really many. It will be more dangerous than now. Because at the moment we are experiencing the shutdown, but the shutdown is a global shutdown. I mean, it's something that is linked to the different countries. On September, the market will be completely reopened. And if families will not have the power to purchase product because they're gonna lose the work, for example, their job, the problem will be really very serious. For what concerns the Thun situation, I have to say that we have tried to combine the financial sustain in terms of what we call cassa integrazione, which means an external help of the government to pay the salary. But with the cassa integrazione, it was not possible to recover the full salary of each single jobber. So what we have done, honestly, is to cover the part that has not been covered by the government in order to maintain the 100% of the salary for all our employees.
That's very nice. So one from Andrea Giustini. Don't you think a weaker euro with respect to other currencies could help export and boost European economy?
You mean I'm not sure to have understood. So the power of euro compared to the other currency?
Probably is. Do you think we should
leave to the lira?
Devalue the euro, reduce the value of the euro in order to increase the export.
This is an equation which is easy to do on an Excel spreadsheet. I think it's tough considering the actual reaction of, for example, the US dollar. At the moment, we cannot act on an independent market. We can work on a monetary policy, but we have also to understand what the other governments are doing at the moment. The euro is stable. At the moment, I cannot foresee any changes about the US currency, the dollar currency.
Okay, one from Michela Ciocca. During the lockdown, we noticed that the environment has recovered in terms of pollution. Do you think that companies are thinking of moving towards more sustainable directions? What does your company plan on this point of view?
Yeah, this is mandatory at the moment because all the Z generation and also this is the Sarah's mobile phone. No, honestly, the pollution, I have to say, the sustainable policy is very important, and maybe during the COVID we have a little bit reduced our attention to the sustainable production. But at the end of the day, the demand from the Z generation to the millennials is to have more consciousness companies. And in a certain way, what we are now experiencing from the racial point of view, think about the Floyd killings from the cops, taught to us that at this stage, sustainability, equal rights, and same opportunity for all of us is the sort of mantra. And we cannot say that we can do something what we call greenwashing. We try to let the people think that we are doing something sustainable. We need to do it now. There is no time. It's the proper time, and the demand on sustainability is more and more important.
Yeah, I agree. I think this has been a reboot for many people, many sectors.
The greenwashing is something that cannot be considered. The Z generation can use internet, can have a stronger power of information than it was on the 90s, for example. On the 90s, you probably could say that you are, producing, for example, a green fuel. At the moment, you cannot say that you can produce a green fuel without proving to the people that it is a real green fuel. Of course, I cannot think that we can produce it on a fuel.
Sure.
far away from our experience and our main scope.
Okay, one from Silvia Di Virgilio regarding the new ideas. In shops, we use now too many plastic gloves and also disposable masks. And we have seen in many reports that they end up in the sea eventually. Yeah. Does Ton think about a more green solution?
Yeah, we're always speaking and thinking about new solutions. For example, we have dramatically reduced the plastic on our bulks. I mean, on the products that we ship to the customers. We are using recycled paper as much as we can. We are saving at the moment at this stage something like what we call CO2 compared to the production of oxygen of the entire surface equal to the Central Park of New York. This is not enough for Thun, for sure. We need to work more for that. It's not easy, honestly, because plastic from the logistic standpoint is very important to protect the product. Think about the fact that we are selling some ceramic products which are very delicate, and we need to maintain them from scratches, and the paper is very important for us. But there is a project of sustainability, which is a constant project that affects all our products, and we are also thinking about new products that can go in this direction.
That's fantastic. One from Fabiana from Manchester. There are several online retailers, particularly clothing, that have been criticized for canceling large factory orders and refusing to pay, despite the orders having already been prepared. What is your opinion on this, and how do you think companies can support the factories that they source their product from, despite the reduced demand?
Thanks for the question. We have a very silly situation in Italy. You probably read about that. There was a Paul McCartney concert planned in Italy that has been cancelled, and instead of giving back the money, the organization decided to give a voucher to the customers. Then Paul McCartney posted yesterday a long post about the fact that it was not good, saying that it was more fair to give the money back. As a customer, I completely agree at first sight with the post of Paul McCartney. But then, Sir Paul McCartney, then I have to say that the answer from the D'Alessandro Galli company, which is the organizer of the company, was that at this stage, they've tried to convince Paul McCartney to do a second gig in Italy, so a second date, and he said no. Then they said that they will, with the money that they have received, they could, on a COVID period, guarantee the level of employment. And then, if Sir Paul McCartney will not make the gig in the future, they will give until 1 year. So in 2021, they will give back the money to the customers. So when there are always both sides of the medal, and consumer-wise, we're always focused on one side, which is I pay for a service, I need the money back. But then we need also to consider the extraordinary effect, the shock of the COVID, and the way how a company can react to protect the consumers, but also to protect the business. Because survival is the mantra during those months. And I cannot fully criticize the organizer of the concert because of this voucher, honestly.
Thank you for your answer. We have one more from Ilario Di Carlo. Regarding the economy of the artistic sector, I have heard that theaters, small music labels, and many museums are having serious economic problems. Are there possible solutions to help these sectors? I suppose it's more difficult in this case to start online solutions, although I'm thinking of Spotify. But yeah.
Well, I don't think there is. I think there is in Italy, for sure, there is an issue about the online strategy of our museums. We are, I think, 20 years back. We're in 1980s, maybe 40 years concerning this part. Just have a look on a site of, one museum. I can let you choose from the Italian offers. So I think that they can do more to promote, to preserve, to, for example, try to find also financially some sustainable actions from customers. I'm just thinking about the fact that, for example, during the COVID months, there was a big growth on the charity area. And this is a way how you can collect money, for example, to sustain the restoration of some paintings or some other products. I mean, not products, they are masterpieces, okay? And I feel that the museum can do more. And in Italy, we are really on an era which is far away from the 2020.
Okay, that's a good answer. I think we have no more questions on the Teams. We don't have any questions on YouTube. So I think we can join Simonetta Resalvati in saying that this was a really interesting topic and presentation. This is what he commented in the chat. We also all agree on this. I think you did an almost unbiased overview, a little bit of product placement, but that is understandable.
Yeah.
I see the bear down.
Oh, this is my teddy bear. This is my teddy bear.
Yeah. Yeah, so thank you, Dr. Spanedda, for this really, really interesting overview. And I will now ask you all to activate your cameras because we have to take a nice picture with Dr. Spanedda. So please go ahead and activate your cameras if you have one. Hello. Oh, we see a lot of people. See, it looks like there were only the three of us, but as you can see, there's a lot of people behind cameras. Okay. Okay. Now, smile. Great. Okay, fantastic. So, thank you again, Dr. Spanedda. I will now announce the next seminar, which will be held by Angela Capocefalo next week. Same channels, same everything. And it will be about surface-enhanced Raman spectroscopy. So a bit of a change of gears, but I'm sure it will be as interesting. And I will also announce, as I did by email, that we are about to have a TMS Day of Science on the 16th of July. So we're going to have a lot of fun with the posters or presentations. We also have some prizes, which are currently only symbolic prizes, but we're looking for sponsors. And but we will have prizes on the biology side, on the chemistry side, and on the physics side. So it will be like a mini congress, and I will see you all there. You're welcome to send your abstracts. I will send you more reminders, don't worry. Okay, so thank you again. Thanks to Thun. Thank you all for being here today, and I'll see you next week.
Ciao.
Ciao.